folks. It's suddenly occurred to me that I've yet to do a real sort of introduction to me and to my project since I started the restoration of Pearl. So I thought I'd just take a few seconds to say hi. James is my name, and as you know, for the last almost a year I've just been toiling away on Pearl. She's a 1952 25-foot Halverson cruiser, Halverson motorboat, timber obviously. For those that don't know the Halverson brand, it's a very iconic, very famous brand here in Australia, and she's very rare. I think somebody told me once there's sort of three types of Halverson. Either they've completely rotted away, they're sitting at the bottom of a river somewhere, or they've been fully restored. Mine's in between, and obviously and hopefully and eventually she's going to be fully restored and I can bring her back to her former beauty. There's been a long pause in a lot of the episodes. The main reason is work. I'm a commercial charter skipper. So I do chartered cruises. I do cruises around Sydney Harbour and further up the coast, a place called Pittwater and Hawkesbury River. And obviously being summer, really kicking off, the season kicks off October last year. So being summer, I've pretty much just been working, well, literally 7-8 days a week, 14 hours a day. It's incredibly busy. We're coming to the end of the season. It's, what's today? Today's sort of almost the end of February. Typically sort of March is the end of the charter season, if you will, but there are obviously, it continues on throughout the year, but not nearly as busy. Needless to say, it means that it's quietened down a bit. There's not as many charters, so I'm effectively like a freelance charter skipper. So I don't drive for a specific company. I drive for a number of different charter companies, driving different boats, anywhere from a small 26-foot open cabin cruiser to 40+ feet larger sort of luxury cruises, if you will. And yeah, so I work, for a number. But the point is that the charters are slowing down. It's coming to the end. Everyone's back at work. The whole madness of Christmas and New Year's is over. Anyway, long and the short of it is, I now have a lot more time on my hands to spend on Pearl. And so with any luck, you'll see a lot more videos being posted a lot more regularly. That's about it, really. I think really, I wanted to see a lot more progress in the first 12 months than I've managed to achieve, so I'm going to be working quite hard the remainder of sort of summer into spring, and then obviously over winter. And I really want to, she's on the water, you've seen her run, I have taken her out a few times, mainly on sort of just quick day trips, and obviously by the end, really by the end of this year, or certainly the beginning of next summer, I want her to be back up to her former beauty. So that's it about me. Yeah, and I think I'm probably going to launch a Patreon campaign. I'm not massively familiar with the whole YouTube and content creation and subscribers and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I know of it, but this is the first sort of proper one that I've done. But nevertheless, I've looked at Patreon, and it's not, certainly it's not a money-making, or it's not a way in which, it bankrolls me to work and do this full-time. That's not the case. But certainly, if I have patrons, I think they're called, you can tell I don't know much about it. And if I had patrons who love old timber boats, who would rather see lovely old timber boats restored and back on the water and running, rather than half sunk in a mangrove somewhere, or indeed just rotted away, willing to contribute to that, absolutely, that would be wonderful. And I'll post a link after the video if you'd like to do that. We're not talking huge amounts here. Like I said, I'm still finding my feet a bit around that. And also too, reach out to me. I have a few of my subscribers have reached out asking if they could join me on the boat to help with the restoration. Up until now, that's been slightly difficult because it's been very intermittent, as I said, with work and all the rest. But you know, if anybody's local in Sydney, or indeed visiting, who's a a bit of a boat lover and restoration timber boat lover, if you want to bring a sander and a paintbrush and some tools, I'm sure there's lots of things that I could find for you to help out with. So reach out to me, send me a private message, a direct message, whatever, and let's connect. And if the opportunity's there, well then I'd love to have people help me out. But other than that, you know, it was always my goal to do this myself. As you can see, I don't have a workshop. I don't have any expensive, shipyard facilities or a slipway, engineering works. I'm doing all this while she's afloat, which obviously, as you can imagine, can make things quite difficult sometimes, getting to some hard to reach places. You know, I've got a big shout out to my family, particularly my brother who lives in Sydney, who lives on the water. I've been using his jetty a lot, obviously, which is great to have it tied up against something solid rather than just floating on a swing mooring. So massive shout out to him. In fact, all of my family who have been super supportive. And yeah, listen, I've just realized I've been rambling on for like a ridiculous amount of time. Let's crack on. We've got some more sanding on the forward cabin roof, and hopefully even the first coat. I'm going to be taking the hatches off to take those away to be restored. I'm also taking the swim deck off today to be restored or repaired, restored, or if not, I don't know, I might have to replace it. It's looking pretty grim. And then a few other bits. So that's it from me. You don't see a lot of my face on the episodes, just because it's a one-man show. I've got a paintbrush in one hand and a camera in the other, or on a tripod. Anyway, enough said, and let's crack on, and thanks for watching. Okay. I noticed a ton of fibres coming off on the other roll when I was doing the roof. They're not massive, they're not super cheap these, but at the same time they're not the most expensive, right? So, but I think it's more of a case they're quite old. I mean, they haven't been used, they've been in a packet still. So I think I'll just give it a bit of a shave, a bit of a brush, just to get all the loose crap off. It seems to be working quite well. Little tip for the future. Lovely. God, it's so hot out here today. The paint is actually getting a skin on it. It's drying so quickly. Gotta work really fast. Somehow keep it in the shade, I suppose.